is this gospel writer that was very intentional about including the stories of women in the birth narrative, in Jesus' ministry, in the crucifixion narrative, and especially the resurrection narrative. We see voices of Mary and another Mary and many women who helped along the way. Luke paints a broader picture for us to cling to and hold on to. One of the stories that is so important to the Advent season is the story of Elizabeth and Zechariah. Elizabeth, of course, would become pregnant in her old age with John the Baptist, and there would be a moment when Mary would come to visit Elizabeth, and the baby in the belly would flip and have this expression of joy as both of these two women are pregnant with the one who will make the way and the one who is the way. I draw us now to Luke chapter 1, to the very end. In Luke, there are two songs in the beginning. One is sung by Mary. We call it Mary's Magnificat, and it's her praising God. The other one that we have is from Zechariah. Zechariah, if you remember, was struck with a sense of silence as he waited and anticipated and worked through his part of the story. But here at the end of Zechariah's song are two verses. This is Luke 1, verses 78 and 79. By the tender mercy of our God, the dawn from on high will break upon us to give light to those who sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. So in verse 78, we see with Zechariah's praising of God, we see him talking about God's compassion. And then in verse 79, we're learning about the path to peace. I don't know about you, but I'm needing a whole lot more compassion in this world, and I'm needing a lot more information on that path to peace. And even though I have a deep and rich faith, it is a faith in progress. It is a faith that moves with prevenient grace, a grace that went before me through the prophets that have been a part of my genealogy and yours, the genealogy of Jesus, where this is the grace that God has been active in the world for always. And so I know that God's going to continue to be active in my life and in yours in ways of compassion. God is compassionate to what we're going through here in 2020 and what each of us are going through in our own lives. And not only is God compassionate, God gives us a way to peace. It doesn't mean it's a way where there is no suffering or everything's perfect or we can afford to give our family all the gifts we want to or put up the decorations we want or feel a sense of hope in a different way, but it's a path to peace. As Jesus taught us, it's a peace that is beyond our understanding that only God can give. So this morning, as I collect myself in the sanctuary and I welcome you to be here with me in sanctuary, let's remember that God is a God of compassion. God sees you, God knows you, God hears you, and God is compassionate. God is also offering us a way to peace. We shall follow the way that is to Jesus, to the cradle, and to peace. Let us take a moment just to breathe in a couple counts to 6 and exhale a couple counts to 6, and then we'll pray together. God, sometimes we feel alone. We feel like there's not another person on the entire planet that could understand our feelings, our hurts, our hopes. Sometimes we're struggling to put one foot in front of the other, and we feel as though nobody's compassionate to what we've faced or what we've endured. We just need a little tenderness, God. And yet you remind us that in those moments where we feel we need a little tenderness, you are there to give it to us. And in relying on you, leaning our heads upon your shoulder, you will give us peace and rest from our labors and our worry. God, in this season, on this day, bless all who hear to have a feeling of overwhelming compassion, to share that compassion with others, just as they've received compassion from you. And help us to be a voice of peace in a world where peace seems so elusive. It is yours. It is miraculous, and it is there for us. It's in your name that we pray.